Hello, this is your host Akhil Navluri, and welcome to the brand new episode of the Techo Space podcast series. In this podcast episode, I'm super thrilled and honored to welcome one of the most eminent and prominent industry leaders of the IT space and the ITSM space, Mrs. Rina Brahmbhatt Barot, who happens to be based out of New York City, the United States of America. And along with that, Rina is also a fellow podcaster, and she also runs her own podcast channel, the ServiceNotes. So I mean, whenever Rina, whenever I connect with my fellow podcasters, it brings me a different vibe altogether because I feel that when two podcasters are there on the same call, the conversation just goes really candid. So I feel this would also be the of no exception here. So I'm really looking forward for having a great
Well, we will
conversation.
try. We will try.
No worries, no worries. So yeah, so Rina, how was your week and how are things in New York at the moment? Is it going on a winter vibe or how are things there?
Yeah, it's getting very chilly and breezy. We are kind of like beginning of the fall. So you're really not sure how to dress. Like some days it's like super cold and you need like lots of layers. Other days it's like, are we back in summer or spring? Like, yeah. So no, I think it's good. And Diwali is coming up next week. So, a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
festive vibe in the
yeah.
city. Yes, for sure.
Of course, of course. I mean, with the Indian expats everywhere, the Diwali vibe is something else. Even in Sydney, also a lot of preparations are going for that. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So there's a twining factor there. So yeah. So so without any further ado, Rina, let's kick off with our podcast episode. So Rina, firstly, I'm very keen to understand this. So Rina, let's talk about your 20 years of journey in the IT industry.
Sure. I mean, it's funny when you say 20 years, it sounds like a lifetime, right? Yeah, but in many ways, it just feels as if it started, new assignment, new beginning sort of thing. When I started out, it is not something I would expect what's happening right now with my career. I started at post office, as back in England. My job was to help people figure out the cheapest and most secure way to send their mail. But I always felt that I could do more. I kind of felt like outside looking in. And then a few months into the job, I kind of asked my manager, like, hey, I would like to learn a bit more about corporate head office operations, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mhm.
then, he was kind enough. He supported, he organized a work experience for me. And then, long story short, I kind of stumbled upon this, service management. And entire time I was navigating my career, it was always just a new challenge, new excitement, new beginning. It just, not
Mhm.
many people know about service management.
Okay. So yeah, when you were talking about the service management thing, so I wanted to understand like a little bit of a backstory. So I mean, I understand, you're based out of New York and you're from the US. So how did you move all the way to the UK? Was it through any, college recruitment kind of a thing? Like how were things back then?
You know what? It was actually an unfortunate incident in our family that my
Oh, okay.
brother-in-law had passed away suddenly out of a blue. Totally healthy guy, very young. And I was the only one in UK, whereas my family was in US. And it was like,
Oh,
yeah, I don't want to be, just in case if anything were to happen, I will be all alone. So that kind of
I know.
prompted the migration from UK to USA.
Okay, that's pretty unfortunate, Rina. I'm so sorry, about knowing about that. But yes, Rina, as they say, right, sometimes when you have a bad time, I mean, once you just, go over through it, the good times are ahead. So I would say that there's no exception in that case for you as well, Rina. So, I mean, that's a beautiful journey, when we talk about that 20 years of journey. Now, I'm keen to understand this. Like, can you talk about your expertise, let's say, on the lines of the program management, the IT service management, and along with that, the enterprise management? Like, different types of management are here, but how would you, try to, let's say stack them together?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, the thing with service management is that you wear so many different hats. Like in a service delivery role, there are like more than 50 roles you could be performing. Initially, when I started out, I actually wanted to become a project manager, and somehow the manager felt I was better suited for service management, and that's the path he kind of, asked me to follow. And I kind of went along, what do you know? You're just starting out, right?
Hmm.
So that was kind of a role after role after role. And then I remembered that it was the project management in me never left. The reason being that when you're a service delivery professional, you're always looking after the things other people have implemented for you. So I thought I need to be at the kind of beginning initiation point. And so I became an
Hmm.
architect. And then when I became an
All right.
architect, again, I did not have visibility in the budget or planning or requirement. And then I thought, I needed to little bit more further, like sort of not just designing solutions, but sort of mapping out the business value aspect. And that's where the program management came in. So that's kind of like, you could say, like bottom up is kind of an example of my journey, sort of starting out at customer service and then moving a one step analyst, one step manager, one step change manager, like on and on. I can go on.
Yeah, yeah.
More recently, enterprise service management is something like most service professional already practice,
Yep.
but it's kind of taking on its own discipline. There is like a new frameworks coming up for ESM, and it looks at
Mhm.
holistic business as a whole, not just focusing on the technology component. Like when you talk about IT service management, you talk about like all the applications and the system and technology and infrastructure. Whereas enterprise, like, yes, there is a component of IT, but what does it mean in the business, like sort of finance or facilities, operations, HR, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's kind of it just happened. I guess I never had a roadmap at such. It just one role to another. And I guess I was a bit
Yeah.
lucky. I think the more I expressed my desire to do the next thing, kind of people supported me. So yeah.
All right. Support is always, I mean, a thing that is necessary in someone's life. Without support, I mean, you won't get that backing and your morale doesn't get boosted up. But with support, everything changes. And it's more like, when you have a lot of people together, and I mean, with you always, I think, that makes a huge difference. And Rina, you just told me that, you didn't have a roadmap, but as you were trying to, climb the stairs of promotion, like one by one, what was your feeling like? Did you enjoy the process, or did you feel like, okay, now a new responsibility starts, and how do I pace up again?
Yeah,
And all of that.
yes, I think I can, like, obviously, in the moment, you don't really kind of remember enjoying it such. You just do stuff. But I
Yep.
think when I look back, there was a lot of hard moments. Like it wasn't always all rosy, easy. Like there were moments that you wouldn't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that job
Mhm.
you so much wanted, or you went for a job interview and there was a little, like, like that was the beginning of, I think that was like 10 years ago, a beginning of people checking their emails on the phone, not on the computer.
Mhm.
And then I was going for a job interview for a role. And at the bottom of the email, they had put that you have to prepare for presentation, which I didn't read. Of course, you like, yeah, like this time, this date.
Okay.
So I went to the interview. And so after the question answer finished, they're like, okay, so what's your presentation? I'm like, what presentation? So it was so bizarre. So just like, okay,
God.
give me 5 minutes. I'm just gonna, create something for you. And I did, and I didn't get that job, but they offered me another job. So that was kind
Mm.
of a plus point. So yes, there was always like, did I enjoy? I guess I loved the challenge aspect of it. I mean, one time, and I learned a really big important lesson here. Like I like to call it like productive politics, which is, when you communicate, whether you communicate with one person or you communicate with 1,000 people via email, it's so important that you understand the perception of what the reader is going to think about your message. uh,
Yeah, that's
I
right.
yeah, in a moment, like I had a goal to save budget for an organization. So I just sent out a little email saying, hey, are you willing to let go of your this application? And next thing you know, it's like it became a whole big thing. And CIO is calling me in a meeting. My manager's like, what did you do? Why did you send that? Why didn't you ask us? Blah, blah, blah. We never send the
Mm.
email to the retail network without checking through communication. Like, what do
Right.
no, like you didn't, like, anyway. So yes, I think I
Right.
enjoyed that, but I think there were definitely hard moments which I had to overcome. And having a mentor or having that trusted colleague that you can talk to about the situations, I think is definitely plus. I think I have a tendency to find my ally in the team that I could talk to and be very honest about whatever challenges or experiences we are facing. And I think that helps you.
Hmm.
That helps you to get through it.
Yeah. I mean, just, to think about it this way, Rina, like, suppose had in your time there might be a thing called chat GPT, and
No,
you
there
have the
wasn't.
email.
There
I'm just
wasn't.
saying a hypothetical situation, a
It's okay.
hypothetical situation.
Hypothetical. Okay.
Just imagine you have the chat GPT kind of a thing with you, and you have your email. Probably had you told the chat GPT, just tell me what this email is about, then probably you would have prepared a presentation.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I suppose yes. It's like, I think over time, what I have learned is when you try to do too much, these mishaps are going to happen. There's no question
Yeah,
about
true.
it. And then all you have to figure out is, are you going to be able to deal with it? And you can prepare and plan and do as much as you want. Like one time when I was in New York, I went for a job interview at a completely wrong address. Because when you're new in the city, yeah, you are new in the city, and the
Okay.
recruiter had just put something. It didn't say whether this is in Brooklyn or Manhattan, so I put the first thing on my map, and it took me to Brooklyn. And he's calling me, he's like, where are you? And I'm saying, I can't find your office, where? And then he goes, it's in Upper West, blah blah. I'm in Brooklyn. Like, how do I know? So
Oh
you
God.
prepare. It's kind of weird. Like, and then I went in, and of course, I didn't get the job. And
Yeah.
the guy, just for the sort of sake of being polite, kept like asking me question. He still saw me, and he asked me completely different question what the job was for. So I'm like, so he probably could say like, why I'm not gonna give her the job. It was so bizarre. But again,
Oh
I
my
learned my
God.
lesson to
Yeah.
say, you must validate when you're going for an important meeting to confirm. Like,
Yeah.
don't just assume that what your map is gonna tell you address and what their head office is gonna be the same thing. So yeah, I think you can prepare, you can plan, but sometimes those things only comes from learning and having lived through those experiences.
Indeed, indeed. And that's a very good, let's say a very good point that you have, shared in this podcast session, Rina. And probably, our listeners would definitely grab this particular point and they would say, okay, that is one of the experience. Let's try to, not get into such kind of a situation, and let's, read through the emails that we get.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Like thoroughly, especially important meeting. Of course, you can't
Yeah.
give the same attention to all the emails, but definitely important meetings. Like job interviews are important. I don't know how did that happen, but hey.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That's very true, Reena. So, Reena, jokes apart, and without asking you more about all that faults that you have experienced, I'll just go to a very very thing that is very close to your heart. So, I've just come to know that you've been awarded. So, I wanted to understand, like, can you give me an insight into being awarded as an expert for the UX design pertaining to the IT service management? Like, that's a huge recognition. So, tell me more about it.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, when I was designing the portal, it wasn't like I wanted to design an award-winning portal. It was something I was passionate about. Like I wanted to make sure the user experience is very like streamlined. Like that was the goal. I always thought like, and this was probably about 7 something years ago. So I always felt, how you shop at Amazon, how smooth everything is. Like click, 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 done, right? You don't really have to think much. Like there's not
Hmm.
much friction. It's a very smooth journey, and that was my goal. Reason being that this particular organization wasn't very good at using the catalog. They were more like calling people or go and having a chat with them at the desk. So it started out with like shortlisting so many different kind of portal. Now I was working with a partner who was very supportive in that sense that they gave me all the material I need to look at and then shortlist to
Okay.
say, hey, this is what I would like my portal to look like. And sort of like I
Mhm.
kept telling people, everyone I was working with, like, stop making things complicated. We want to make sure
All
that
right.
this is for the people who can navigate the system as easily as possible without having any training. So,
All right.
like, and if Amazon can do it for like million plus people, we have to do it only for 500 people. I'm sure we can achieve that. And, that was kind of the focus, that was the goal point. And we did it. Now, my then manager saw how great this was, and everyone has to know. So there were certain organizations that you can submit your project, sort of, how well you and the team did. And he submitted like entry probably about 5 places, and 3 places we got selected and we got an award, and we had an opportunity to give a talk, and one of them was in ServiceNow knowledge. So that was a big recognition in terms of like,
Hmm.
what we were able to do with that technology.
Yeah, since you just came across a point called the service now knowledge, like what exactly was that UX design on? Like, I wanted to understand like how was the workflow like?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It was like you went to the portal, it already knew your profile, it knew who you are, which department you're working in, and then you can only see the things you're able to access. So you don't have to clutter through. So, for example, let's say you worked in marketing and you need a Mac, and that was your standard equipment for all the people in marketing who, that's all you see. You don't have to select like whether you want Windows, whether you want Dell,
Yeah.
nothing like that. We just go, you select your screen monitor, you choose your accessories, click, 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 done. And then it automatically notifies you that, hey, this is right now waiting for your manager to approval. Manager gets approved, and then it goes to the engineer, and then you get notification. It's going to be dispatched within 5 to 7 working days. Each step of the journey, you are notified. And so you had two options. You will get emails that you can read and respond to, or you can go to the portal, and then all the kind of work activities are already logged with the timestamp. So it's just super easy. You didn't have to pick up a phone. You didn't have to talk to anyone
Yeah.
unless your requirements change, or some sort of out of control situation happened. But and that was across every device. It wasn't like Mac is just one example, but it could be. And the other thing we had done is that back then ServiceNow was not doing HR service delivery, but we had built out
Okay.
the little portal for HR as well. So you wanted to know what your leave allowance is, or what training are available to you, or what holidays are coming up, all that good stuff. Like just go to your portal and then click on HR,
Right.
it expands. So yeah, it was very good. Like I said, the goal was we just want to make it as easy as possible for our customer.
Yeah. When we talk about, making the UX easy for the customer, like when it comes to the data, like how did you gather the data? Like, I mean, I know data point of view. I mean, the data work was, was with respect to the other team, but how did they, gather the data to, get the workflow really well?
Yeah, so we looked at the past records to see how people were actually using this catalog. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of data in the computer because people were bypassing the system, but we had an asset repository, like who was accessing what. And then we did workshop to understand from the customer, like, hey, why would you go to the service portal? What are your reasons? What else would you like to see? And then we looked at some best practices in terms of, what's the catalog process, service request process looks like. We checked with the finance compliance to make sure, if
Yeah.
this thing was not approved, like, is that a big deal? And, so there was like a lot of data gathering, reviewing, analyzing, cleaning activities before we landed to the, kind of final place to say, hey, this is how we are going to be doing workflow. I think the
Right.
whole project took anywhere from like 9 months to a year. So it was a big implementation.
That's a supreme implementation. That's very good to hear. And I'm pretty much inspired. And when I go further in my job interviews, and let's say with respect to working in a team, probably I will inculcate all these inspirations and do
Sure.
it really well.
Sure. You have ChatGPT now, so it'll be a little easier. You just have to ask what question, right?
Yeah, but again, without ChatGPT also, I mean, I would be interested to do it. ChatGPT is just like, let's say, I mean, a guide, but not completely, dependent on it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes there are things where the dependency has to come a little bit, but sometimes we need to get a little bit away from it.
Yeah, no, that's true. And sometimes it has a very ideal scenario, which is not the world we live in. So it doesn't really quite understand, I think, the human aspect of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
complexities that we have to deal with. Yes, I mean, a lot of the solutions is like so ideal. Like, yeah, I'm not quite sure.
I mean, there'll be an upgrade for that in the future, and ChatGPT will again become more humane. I don't know. I'm just predicting the future that way.
Yeah, apparently it's coming 2027, I believe, the AGI, which is going to be,
Oh,
taking one step. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a big thing in America for sure that it's coming.
right. Okay. That's a good piece of news. And yeah, I'm not worried, I would say, but I'm blown by the fact. And yeah, let's see how the future is going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to look like Terminator and Minority Report, I think, pretty much.
Let's see. Hope we don't fall prey to it, but yeah, expect the best.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Yep. That's a good piece of information, Arena. Now, Rina, I just wanted to know, like, I mean, would you like to, talk about your passion, with respect to, the team coaching, mentoring the future leaders and also let's say, fostering a culture of service excellence. So how are you able to manage, these three things together?
Yeah, sure. Like, passion is a big word, and I hear that a lot. People keep saying that to me, like, you must be very passionate about this. But the funny thing is that my first dream was to become a dance teacher. I was passionate about teaching, yes, but I wanted to teach
Okay.
dance and not service management. And I had that kind of insight, like, yeah, I mean, that's what I want, but it's not going to pay my bills. Like, I don't know enough about the dance techniques or, style and whatnot that I can actually teach people something I enjoy for sure. So I kind of
Yep.
stayed focused on my technology career and say, okay, well, you know, working at the post service counter, going to corporate role, and then when you talk to people, people realize that okay, yeah, I want to do what you're doing. So people would approach me and say like, hey, can you review my resume, or hey, I would like to get a job like this, etc., etc. So I will, like, because I love like teaching and helping people. So I still do that. Like, people still contact me on LinkedIn and say, hey, you said you can review my resume, here is my resume, would you mind just yeah, sure, absolutely, because I learn as much as you get from it. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yep,
so
that's true.
I'll offer like mock interviews. I will give them coaching on communication. Of course, remember I have that big lesson behind me of blasting that email
Hmm.
without checking with anyone.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
Yep.
yeah, that kind of just thing just started, and then when I moved to America, I was contacted on LinkedIn. Like, so I was looking for a job. I was in transition. I was working as barista at Dunkin', and then I got an email in LinkedIn to say if I would be interested in teaching. And I was like, okay, well, I haven't taught a class, and like, sure, yeah, absolutely, I love talking. And it just took off from there. So I would do like freelance teaching, ITIL classes, leadership training. I teach at the university now as a professor after doing my postgrad, master's. So yeah, it's just I still to date I still love teaching. Absolutely.
Fantastic, Rina. So, Rina, like I mean, I just came across your LinkedIn profile where you're having two gigs. I'm seeing three gigs. I mean, you're a adjunct professor at Truro College, and then you're a director of let's say consulting and training at 24 trainings, and along with that, you're even a director of IT service management consulting at Matvaa Consulting. So, I mean, how are you able to, juggle between, these three things together? I mean, juggling between three takes a lot of time, but how are you able to, do it really well?
And that's a when you enjoy something, it doesn't feel like that you're doing a lot. Of course, there are moments you have to plan. Like, for example, starting my day at 4, having a podcast at 6, and then I'm going to be dashing to a
Oh,
job fair at like 8 a.m. So, you really do work like, super hard. You plan your calendar. Sometimes you miss meetings because they are in a different time zone. Sometimes you're
yep.
writing bed late at night, for your training. So, yeah, I think it's more just enjoyment. And I think one of the things I have learned over the last, and it started gradually, like it wasn't always like this. It's a bit like it started with a sort of like small sprint here and there, and then it's kind of becoming a marathon where I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. So next year, one of my thing is I want to do less and achieve more. I seem to be doing a lot of more stuff right now, and very much I enjoy, but I think it can be very exhausting. So it's
Yep.
just kind of like looking at your calendar, like planning like what's
Yep.
happening next month, and what are my to-do list, like publishing a book, of course, that was a big deal in addition to all of that, and doing my own
Mm.
podcast, and writing, and then taking care of kids and family, and so that's a whole different, like, I mean, yeah, even I'm amazed, how am I doing any of this, to be fair. So I don't have
Fantastic,
any magic
Rina.
mantra for you. You just do it, I guess.
I need a magic mantra for this. Even I'm also almost on the same boat, and I'm also having three gigs, podcast and my contract work, and then my university coursework since I'm still a student in Australia. So
Hmm.
there are times where I get really fatigued. And sometimes, when I get fatigued, I'm like so tired that I don't feel like, doing my regular work.
Yeah.
So in such cases, what is that advice that you would like to give to to
Yeah,
a
sure,
podcaster like me?
sure. One of the things I started doing 2 weeks ago is like, yes, I had those moments, like as much as I love it, but I'm like, I don't want to. So what I have started doing, I have started tracking my time. And this is what I mean by doing less and achieving more. I've started tracking my
Mm.
time to see what are the things I can actually delegate. So, that's kind of like a first place to start. And then other is sometimes you like I do that, like sometimes I procrastinate, like think about the things way too much than doing it, and sometimes that's also exhausting. So yeah, I think you'll find your own footwork, but first look at your data to say, like, where your moments are spent and what you particularly enjoy, what you don't enjoy. And then sometime, like for example, I was doing a presentation slide yesterday because I'm going to be giving a talk for SDI
Hmm.
this
Okay.
afternoon at 2:30. So I was creating a slide, and
Okay.
that took about 30 to 40 minutes. But I was able to see that because I was tracking it. Like at night, I was making a log, and I'm like, should it really take 30 to 40 minutes? Like, why did it take so long? This is all kind of, something I do anyway. So was I
Yep.
procrastinating and focusing too much on a styling rather than the content? And, so all that good stuff. But you'll find your way. But
Yep.
first, look at data, how you spend your time.
Exactly. I think I need to keep a, I mean, a check on what I'm doing and probably need to write it down, or let's say, yeah, let me just see what I can do probably post Diwali.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. That's fantastic, Rina. Now, Rina, I'm keen to understand this. Like, what made you, or let's say, what got your foray into the, the freelance consulting, the internship leadership roles, and getting involved with, these strategic advisory projects. And having said that, what is your take on the same?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, I already shared like career has never been a straight line. It's more like navigation around different roles. And the move into consulting was a big one because you wouldn't believe, but I had like a vision board and I had like, I'm a consultant. Somehow I felt like, because over the course of different roles, I always work with consultant and you think they're smart people. And I want to be one of those person. Obviously, when you start working in it, you have different take on different roles. But so that was something I wanted to do. And then I was pregnant. And then I got an opportunity to be interviewed for Gartner. And I'm like, okay, well, the timing is
Okay.
terrible. But I'm like, it's something I want to do for a long time. And I want to work from home. This is a work from home gig. Well, let's just go for an interview. I gave everything I had. I shared my experience and I got the job. And the good news was I didn't have to start immediately. So after having a baby, I had that 3 to 4 month settling period, and then I
Yep.
was able to kind of go in, and it was started out part-time with one client and then multiple clients, and then full-fledged, more full-time overtime kind of role. So definitely
All
I
right.
think, and I very much enjoyed that because I think one of the things you learn when you work for as a consultant or working on different contract is you see the dynamics of a lot of different corporations. That is something that is not available to you when you've been working for one company for a long time. So
All right.
you network more, you build more relationships, you solve more problems. It's like it really accelerates your career. I think I would encourage everyone to, if there is an opportunity to pursue a consulting gigs, I think, yeah, go for it because you will surprise yourself that how much you actually learn from it and how much value you can add, in terms of the work you're doing. Definitely.
All right. That's fantastic, Rina. So, Rina, now from a podcaster to a podcaster, and I'm, I've started my podcasting journey. I mean, it's just been a year for me, but I'm keen to understand, like, what was the inception, or let's say, what gave you the idea to start your own podcast show, the Service Notes podcast?
You know what? Idea was never mine, to be fair. It was, I was
Okay.
approached by another individual to say, hey, would
All
you
right.
mind
Mm-hmm.
being a guest host on their podcast? And
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, yeah, sure. Because, I had some time. And at this point, I was working for myself. So, and I wanted to learn more about our industry and kind of give something back. So I said, yes, sure. So I started, and then I think it was my friend who said, you're doing all this hard work. I think you should have your own podcast. Like, you are creating content, you're editing content, you're uploading content. You should just do it for yourself. And then the idea came like, okay, you probably would know when you do the podcast, so much thinking and planning has to go in terms of how you're going to name it, what color, where you're going to host it, what music you want at the outset, what music you want at the end of the show,
Yeah,
how long the
yeah,
episode. People don't
of
realize
course.
that, people really don't realize that how much hard work. Like I have to say, doing the freelancing and working for myself, I have a great appreciation for people who work for themselves, because it takes discipline, it takes courage, it takes confidence to put yourself out there, to open to other people's judgment. You don't have any cushion of like a HR or your corporation behind you. You're pretty much on your own here. So yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's how it started, and I absolutely love every moment of it. I love talking to people, I love learning about them. I feel that I get far more than my listeners. And I think of the podcast as you sitting at a coffee table in a cafe and listening to other
Hmm.
people chatter. Obviously, this is a bit more structured and focused, but it's like eardropping, right? Because you hear
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
two people are talking about. And it's great. Some people
Indeed.
say, like, you know so much, you should do solo episode. Like, the point of my podcast is to give them that experience, that if they could hear these two professional in a cafe, what
Mhm.
discussion they would be having. So solo
Yeah.
doesn't kind of cut it in the same way. So yeah, that's how it kind of started my own podcast.
Yeah. Talking about solo podcasting, even many people have told me the same, but I was like, okay, first let me just, get that experience of, connecting with people, and then let's see how do I progress from there. But I just want to have that idea. It's, let's say, it's still in the back of my head, but nothing concrete.
Yeah, I think solo could only work like so. I think solo, if I'm giving interview tips, for example, or I'm giving no, like how not to make mistake in your interview, or how to pass your service management
Mhm.
exam. Like if it's very
Right.
something that's something specific you want to share with people, I think solo could work. But for me, the podcast has been eardropping into two people having a coffee. So it's very casual, very fun, very
Yeah.
candid, just very total, open and honest. So yeah, I think it works. I've got a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of good compliments, even to a point. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
this happened to you, but like so, it's been
Hmm.
almost a year plus now, and my same
Okay.
friend who said like launch the podcast asked me like, so are you making any money out of it? I said no, it's more for fun, right? And she goes, then why are you doing it? Like you already are stretched for time. And I said, you know what, why am I doing it? Because I love my voice now. Day one, I never liked my voice. I'm
That's
like,
the right way to
oh
say
God,
it. Yeah.
what is this? Oh my God, I sound squeaky. I love my voice. So that means I'm becoming more confident and growing into who I am. So yeah, I'm not just going to do this for money. I like doing this, and it builds confidence and it helps me to connect with people. It isn't just about
Yeah.
monetary values, but yeah, I mean, how was it for you when you did your first episode? Were you in love with how you speak?
I was honestly speaking, I was not I was in love with the idea what I started in, how I got it together. But
Mhm.
my first episode, I was literally nervous and I just wanted to see how would I myself pull it off. And when I showed it to my parents, I was like, hope they like it, hope they liked it. They liked it, and I was like, finally my hard work pays off. So
Yeah, yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny. Obviously, sometimes my friends would send me a message like, I love your voice. I'm like, you don't know how much practice I had to do
oh yeah,
to record that
tell
first
me about
line.
it. Yeah.
Obviously, it's yeah, yeah. But
It is
let's
it is everything, takes time. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yes, Rina, sorry.
no, I say let's see where it will be, because as the time becomes an issue, it's like, you have to let go of some things. So I'm kind of strategizing, how best
Hmm.
and what to do next year.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure that, you'll go a long way with your podcast, with your podcast initiative. And I'm pretty sure, and as a fellow podcaster, I'd always keep on, supporting you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So, Reena, before, now, can you give a spotlight about your book, or let's say the book that you have written, and the award-winning book, the ITSM playbook. So, can you just give me an insight on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I haven't got any award yet. Maybe I will. I don't know.
Manifested potential award.
Manifest, exactly. I guess, well, let's just talk about the book first. So, obviously, it's the book that I desperately wish I had when I was starting out my career, because not many people know about service management. I had a tendency, if I want to learn something, I would go to library or, bookshops and look for the book. Pretty much my learning has been driven by all the books I have read. So, there wasn't one about service management. So I thought, yeah,
Hmm.
I wish there was a
Right.
roadmap. So I decided to write one, right? So it's mainly for two people. First is for someone who is like ambitious, because you have to be self-starter. Okay. No one can push you. You need to learn to push yourself. Because I see,
Exactly.
even in my teaching, I see many people come to the class, they don't take exam, or even if they take exam, they pass, nothing after. So you have to be self-starter. And don't feel that
Yep.
IT is only meant for people who can code or people who can manage infrastructure. I think there is a way to get in technology, and this is kind of the
Yep.
hidden half of the tech where people don't really
Yes.
know much about, but it's still high in demand. Like if you look at
Yep.
the industry analysis, it's projected by 2027, it's going to be $27 billion. That's a big chunk of money. If you think
That is
about
huge.
like a big ITSM companies, there are so many and they're minted. So, something's right about this career. Second
It
is
is.
for someone who is sitting in their job, they are in service management, they're not quite sure where to go next. Like I mentioned, there are like 50 plus roles. How do you know, like beyond incident manager, what is that for me? So I'm a good incident manager, but then what? Afterward, what can I do? So you can
Hmm.
have this playbook. It helps you to translate what you already know and how you can transfer that into strategic, value driven corporate productive politics and get ahead in your career. And before I
Right.
published this book, I was terrified. Like I remember sending my first draft to 60 plus people who had signed up to review, and I said, this is the first time this book is leaving my house, literally, because no one has read it, right? It's my friends and
Hmm.
my husband, and obviously they're all going to say good things. Would they dare to say it's not good enough?
No, not at
I
all.
was
Not at
like,
all.
because they know I've worked so hard on it. So of course they're going to be complimentary. And
Yeah. Yeah.
especially like if my husband criticizes, I'm like, you don't know anything about this.
That happens.
So
Yeah.
he's been trained to say all the positive things, right? So I was really terrified. And then the feedback was exact opposite. Everyone's like praising it. This is the book we need. This is the book we've been missing.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I knew that this is it. I always say this is my blue ocean strategy because it's not a book, it's a system that can help you to build a resilient, high impact, future proof career in technology. And it has monetary reward. Like, service management professional on average can make anywhere from $90,000 to $200,000. That's a good chunk of money, which,
Huge.
if you just kind of learn the core skills and have the right intention, you can achieve
Yep.
that. So it's kind of a, long, short summary of my book.
Brilliant, Rina. So, Rina, I was actually going through your book, and two chapters, caught my attention. One of them has to be the ITSM survival kit, and the
Uh-huh.
other is decoding the blueprint. So, how did you, think about these chapters? How did you get the ideas for that, the names especially?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. So, obviously, the book has been in progress for 2 years. Okay. So, when I wrote my first draft, it was back on my way from London to New York in a plane. And bang, 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 everything's in my head. And I just want to type because I keep talking about it. I don't do anything. And so I showed it to my book writing group. And they're like, I mean, it's a good material, but it's a memoir. It's not a roadmap, it's not a playbook. So I had to scrap that and then start again and again.
Hmm.
Then I got that reviewed by one of the person I trust who has published book himself, and then he helped me guide like how can I structure chapters. And then I also
Yep.
read a lot of books about writing a book as well. I did some classes on nonfiction writing, and yeah, it's just about playing with ideas and kind of what makes sense. Like survival, like
Hmm.
why would we call it a survival? Because there were many moments that I had to survive. Like I said, it's not all pleasant. There are times where the people politics get into the way of doing your role, and you need to learn how to navigate. You would be sitting in a
Exactly.
meeting for hours and people are talking about whether we should be placing this checkbox here, and you're like, really? Like, seriously? But you need to learn. You need to be like, yes, you need to entertain them because it's important for them. It may seem like a small little technical design thing for you, but for them, it means a lot. And,
It means a lot to
let's
them.
hear, yeah, let's hear them out. I mean, I think I have a book here. Give me a second.
Okay.
Just gonna get
Hmm.
it. And because, now and then I kind of open my own book and it's like, what did I
Oh.
read? Because you don't remember, trust me, even though you wrote this book, and like if someone says, "Hey, tell me about chapter 7," chapter 7, because it's all out of your heart. It's not something you did it like a rote learning memory. So yeah, I know. I feel very special about my book because I'm like, and everything in this book is done by me. So from the cover
Right.
to the back to loading it on Amazon, formatting it,
Hmm.
making sure it goes for print, and yeah. So including the pricing
Awesome.
strategy, it's a lot of work as well. Yeah, a lot of work.
So finally, when you just, when you have been through all that work, do you have that contentment that, you have made it finally and, your book is there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And when someone buys the book, like I still tell my husband, I'm like, I'm puzzled. People are buying the book. It's like, what is so puzzling? Isn't that why you wrote the book? Like, yeah, I know, but like, I didn't know. Like, I didn't think people would buy the book. Like, I thought they were like, who is she writing the book? But no, and I think internationally people are buying the book. Like, I can see like people bought in Europe or
Mhm.
South Arabia, and there is going to be a person who is actually
Oh,
translating the book in Arabic because he thinks it's so valuable, and then people in that
fantastic.
country will benefit from having this book in local language. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
taking off and I'm quite happy about it.
Rina, I mean, I'm really, really happy for that. When you have told that the person wants to translate into Arabic, it means that, that book has had an impact on him and he's got so connected with it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I think you would like I really, I mean, I'm not saying because I wrote the book, but if this book was on a shelf written by someone else, I would feel exactly the same way because it truly is a very valuable piece of like literally if you had the book and you want to build a career in service management, you could. You absolutely could.
all right. That's perfect. I mean, Rina, I was a little bit upset by the fact that, why did you scrap your memoir? Because when someone reads a memoir, people love it so much and they relate to it. So I'm a little bit, not happy with that fact.
Oh, well, you know what? It's a bit I can share a story with you or readers,
Sorry.
and it could be like indulging myself, like,
Okay.
so that's, I thought, yes, you might enjoy the story, but what will you get out of it? So what, right? And if I had an option to share my story versus teach you how to do what I did, I think I'll choose a letter, which is what this book is
Hmm.
about. I think memoir,
Right.
yeah, maybe another time, but like also think the life is changing so fast.
Yeah.
Like sort of that was a snapshot once upon a time, but clearly I think especially from for us like coming from India going to different countries,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a lot of different learning, and I think definitely I think people can
Huge.
benefit from it. Sometimes I do get messages on LinkedIn like, how did you build this thing in America, or what did you do, did you get this visa, that visa? So yeah, maybe remember another day, who knows.
All right. I'm looking forward for that because I read a lot of memoirs and I mean whenever I read someone's article and when they even talk about a particular location, I'm like, wow, what did they write in that? You
Yeah.
know, when they're traveling by a train, okay, I mean at this particular time I boarded this train and then I saw few places I went for a cricket match, all of those things. I'm like, okay, this is so interesting. And
Yeah, no,
you know,
that's true because it helps you to visualize and it helps you to kind of
yeah.
journey along with that person, definitely.
That's absolutely true, Rina. So, Rina, before we, actually come to a close or let's say conclude our podcast session, let's take a lighter route. Now, all this while I was, bombarding you with questions on ITSM about your journey, about IT service management, about consulting, and, about your book and, about your podcast initiative. Now, the lighter route, which I mean to say is a quick rapid fire round, talking about your
Sure.
likes and interests, your hobbies, all of that. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
All
Oh,
right, then, Rina. So the first
okay.
question to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question to you. So, what is your favorite, sports team?
Ooh, that's a really good question. India, of course, Indian cricket team, even though I don't watch much, but yeah, that would be what I would answer.
The Indian cricket team. Okay. Other than, writing, writing books and all of that, what's your hobby apart from that?
Um, I love working out. I love spending time in the gym, and I love spending time in like a Starbucks. Those are my two hobbies. Like if I have free time, that's what I want to do.
All right, all right. Now we'll go a little bit, let's say to the Desi touch. So,
Mhm.
I always ask my guests what is their favorite Indian food, but I'll make a very different exception here with you. So
Okay.
I know that I'm aware of the fact that you're of Gujarati origin. So what
Mhm.
is your favorite Gujarati food, and what would that be?
All. I love
Everything.
Gujarati food. Absolutely. I think my favorite thing would be hmm, have you heard of dal dhokdi?
Absolutely. I've tried
Yeah,
it multiple
that
times.
would be my favorite. I can't make that, but like when my mom makes it, that's kind of my favorite thing. Yes.
Coming to Gujarati food, I mean, there is a restaurant in Hyderabad. We have the Thali restaurant, and I love going and,
Uh-huh.
having the Gujarati Thali. I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a bit like I am very biased because it's like I always used to think because I left India at a very young age. So I always
Yeah,
think Gujarat was the India. And then when I talk to other people and they talk about different festivals and different, I'm like, okay, well, so yeah, Gujarat is not just India. So when they talk about Indian cuisine, like Gujarati, right? I used to think naan was Gujarati. Then I realized it's from Punjab. It's not from Gujarat. So I'm very
that's it.
biased in that sense. I'm also vegetarian, so in a way, it's kind of limited. And I think Gujarati cuisine
Yeah,
caters
it
very
is.
well to vegetarian diet. Yes.
And talking about Gujarati food, Reena, did you find any Gujarati restaurant in New York like all these years?
No, New York is not very good at Gujarati food. I think
Okay.
London back is like awesome, like, thumbs up, all the good stuff. Having said that, we have Robbinsville Temple. I don't know if you know Swaminarayan Temple. It is one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the biggest temple in America, and it's so awesome. And they have a restaurant and they have all the amazing Gujarati foods with some South Indian food as well. So yeah, that's
yeah.
it's very far. Obviously, it's like 3 hours from where we live, but that's the place to go to for us when we feel like, yeah, we need an outside Gujarati food.
I'll share a secret with you. I
Mhm.
was also based in the US when I was a kid. When I was in kindergarten, I
Okay.
stayed in New Jersey for 3 years.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And New Jersey, big Gujarati scene. Definitely. Lots of Indian, lots of Gujarati, even to the point that they have Navratri on the street. It's not something you see in foreign country.
Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. It is amazing.
It is. It is. That is true. Now, a little bit, about the Gujarati linguistic thing about yourself. Now, what is that Gujarati word that you would like to, associate or let's say make our listeners aware of that, one particular Gujarati word?
Sure. Kemcho. Nice and easy. How are you?
Any difficult one? I mean, that I've heard like a couple of times, but
Couple of
anything
times.
that is
Difficult.
difficult.
Ek maris. You know what that is, right?
I know, I got the
When
point.
you
I'm
don't
not going to
like
translate it.
something. एक झापट पड़ से. I don't know. I mean, not many people. You know what's funny is when you work with a lot of people who speak different language. So, one of the thing people gravitate towards in the language is I want to know the greeting part, like how do you say hello something, and the bad part, like what's a rude word in your language. I don't know why. It's like it's always one of those things. So like ek mare is like one of those like hey, like shut up, I'll beat you up in a minute or something.
That's what I was saying. I'll not translate that because I understood it.
Okay, good. Do you want do you want anything else like career kind of word
No,
maybe?
no, no, no.
Like
Sorry, sorry.
काम करो. Like like sometimes I have Gujarati colleague. So sometimes we are sitting in a meeting and there is a lot of talk and we just like काम करे तो सारू બહુ વાતો કરે છે. That's kind of very
I got the meaning of it. If you
yeah.
do work, it's the best thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like enough of talking. Like let's just get to work now. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's true. So, Rina, like, what is your favorite holiday destination? Then, what would you name that to be?
Ooh, favorite holiday destination. My favorite holiday destination is by the beach. There is a beautiful beach in North Carolina. It's called Curie
Mhm.
Beach. And you know what I found over the last 2 years is that nothing calms me down like that beach. Literally,
Oh,
when I go spend time there, no matter how much work, I don't want to do anything. I just like it's hard to shut me down in terms of because I'm always like a little bit hyper energetic person. But when I go
yep.
to that beach, it's just like life is all about sitting by the beach and watch the ocean and let the nature do its job. That's kind of it's so that's my favorite holiday destination. Like every holiday, I would want to go and spend time there. Absolutely.
Nice. Probably when I visit the US, I think that's going to be in my bucket list. Then let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. I mean, I would personally send you all the itinerary. It's a very small
Okay.
town. It's a
Right.
beautiful, pristine beach. There's nothing commercial there. Like just beach and small town shops. I mean, you're very close to
Okay.
the city. So if you need to
Yep.
go Whole Food, McDonald's, Starbucks, it's all like 15 minutes drive.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, Rina, like the last two questions for you. So, what was the last book that you have read? Any
Ooh,
novel or
sure.
anything like that?
Sure. So I have books all over my house. Last book I read was a book about solitude. So I have a tendency to flip through pages. I'm not someone who finishes like start to the end. I kind of jump from books to books. So about a day ago, I was reading a book about solitude and what it means in a different phase of life, and it was talking about Edward Gibbons. I don't know if you know, but how
Mhm.
like a lot of creative genius or philosopher, how much of their life they just spent in solitude, and how
Yep.
and why it is important. Of course, you can network and learn from people and whatnot, but the contentment and the creative learning comes from you being kind of by yourself. And then I listen to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
audiobooks quite a bit as well. I
Me
think
too.
the one I
Yep,
have
yep.
right now is 80/20 principle.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of my go-to books right now.
All right. That's fantastic, Arina. So the final question to you, like, what was the last movie, or let's say the last web series that you have watched?
Ooh, last movie I watched was Kangna Ranaut, in Indira. Oh, Emergency. It's called Emergency. I
Emergency.
watched that. I
Okay.
think I watched that about 2 weeks ago. It was quite
Okay.
fascinating. It was quite fascinating that I did not know that she became prime minister twice. So
Okay.
I learned something about her, and I think what was interesting that as a woman, I think she achieved a lot. But
All right. Yeah. That's a very good, interesting choice. I've not seen the movie yet, but yeah,
oh, you should
it
watch.
seems.
It's kind of yeah, it's kind of well, I don't know how much of that is true because it's still a movie, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a good movie.
Fantastic, Reena. So, Reena, thank you so much once again, for taking time from your, busy schedule and, I mean, connecting with me and, being part of this podcast initiative. It really means a lot. And I had a great time conversing with you. I mean, as I told you, from a podcaster to a podcaster, I just had a great conversation throughout this session. And I just was, completely blown by all the insights shared by you, whether it was with respect to ITSM, about your book, about, how you've started your podcast journey, and also about, teaching. So these points just, completely hooked me up. So thank you so much, Reena, for taking time and being part of this initiative.
No, I know. It's my pleasure to be on your podcast. Akhil, I love when sort of like you take an initiative, anyone takes an initiative to do something bigger and better and kind of bring back to the world. So, no, well done for starting it. And I have a question for you. What was the movie
Yeah.
you saw or a web series you saw last?
The movie which I saw, there was one Telugu film. Since I come from the south of India, we speak Telugu. So
Uh-huh.
there's one movie called OG, and
OJ. Okay.
it stars a very big actor of ours, and he's a deputy CM.
Uh-huh.
His name is Pavan Kalyan. So
Oh,
I
he's
watched that.
also a politician and an actor? Oh,
Yes,
wow. How does he get
yes.
time?
I mean, he is, moving away from films now, so that's a
Okay.
bad news for us all. But yeah, but that movie was something which I really liked, and I watched that in Melbourne, and the euphoria was really, really crazy. You
Okay.
know, it was exactly like India, the south of India, how people react. And when he was just coming on the screen, people were just shouting, and I'm like,
Oh,
wow,
really?
yeah,
Wow. That must have been amazing. And is it like, is Bahubali from Telugu movie? Is that the
yes.
same industry? Okay, so you guys make like really good movies. I think I heard like it's like surpassed Bollywood. I think was it Bahubali or another movie that won
There,
Oscar
wa-
for a song or something?
that was Triple R. Yes, that also is a Telugu
Similar.
film.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Amazing, amazing. Because I think, yeah, sometimes like, Gujarat just know Bollywood, but then later on I started learning a bit more about
Yeah,
India in
yeah,
that sense. And like, yeah, you guys are way ahead than Bollywood
yeah.
in many respects. We just know all the Shah Rukh Khan movies, you know.
I would take it as a compliment, from on behalf of all the Telugu people. So yeah, means a
No,
lot.
absolutely, absolutely. Is Rameshwar in Telugu? Is Rameshwar in Telugu?
You mean to say the holy place,
Yeah,
Rameshwaram?
Rameshwar, yes. Is that
No, that
no?
actually comes in the Tamil Nadu.
Oh, that's
So Tamil
different. Okay.
Nadu, it's other state. It's a
That's
state that speaks Tamil. So we are just neighbors, but
different.
not
Okay.
the same state. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
So, listeners, on this note, this is your host, Akhil Navluri, signing off. We would be back with another podcast episode with another eminent industry leader very soon. Till then, keep listening, stay tuned, goodbye, thank you, and au revoir. And also, one more thing, subscribe to Rina's podcast channel, the Service Notes Podcast.